If you're a Cardano community member, congratulations! You're now basically the owner of the Cardano blockchain. With the completion of the Chang Hardfork, basically the Cardano community now governs the chain. It makes the decisions that affect the future of the Cardano blockchain. And if you look at the Cardano roadmap, you can see that governance is the last stage in the roadmap. And as such, you might be wondering whether that's it, whether Cardano is already complete. And the reality is that it's far from that. We still have a lot of things to work on in terms of the roadmap, but even in terms of governance, this is just one first step, one major step that initiates the whole process, but we still have another hard fork to go through and a lot of things to do before the end of the year. And in this video, we'll focus on showing you the changes that this hard fork put in place, but also what comes next, what we need to do as next steps to assure that the governance of Cardano is in our hands and that we can create a better future for this blockchain. So yeah, now with Chang, we have the power, guys. The Cardano community has the power and the responsibility as well, right? And this hard fork marks the beginning of the Voltaire era for Cardano, of the official beginning where we actually have changes on the chain. And it's the last phase of the roadmap that is related with governance. However, as I previously said, this hard fork is just the first of two hard forks that are about to come, and many more things that will need to happen until the end of the year to ensure smooth governance. Currently, this hard fork just marks the beginning of the so-called bootstrapping phase of the Chang hard fork. And we have to wait at least 90 days before we are able to initiate the second hard fork. But before going there and diving deeper into the next steps, it might make sense to explain you a little bit more of what this hard fork was all about and the changes it brought to the Cardano community. And this hard fork actually introduced Plutus v3, it burned the Genesis keys, and introduced new governance functionalities into Cardano. This was also an hard fork where all stake pool operators had to basically upgrade their nodes to be able to validate blocks in this new version on the Conway era, and where the DReps themselves also needed to update their code, their tech stack, in order to keep running smoothly after the hard fork. Now, after the hard fork, not only can projects start building their governance features that were brought by this new Plutus version and launch them on mainnet, but you can also start taking some governance actions beforehand, such as, for example, registering yourself as a DRep, or even delegating your step to a DRep to make decisions on your behalf. Hopefully a DRep that you trust and believe will represent you well with their principles. As you can see here, on Eternal Wallet, this feature is already available, and you can either go through the easy process of becoming a DRep yourself, or you can delegate to one of the DReps by getting their DRep code. So it's like the pool ID, but for DReps. Of course, if you prefer to be a DRep yourself to make your own decisions, please bear in mind that there is a 500 ADA deposit that, of course, you need to put in place to become a DRep, but that you can recover if you whenever you decide to unregister yourself as a DRep. So it's not lost, it's just there while you're a DRep. One thing that is very important to know is that if you want to vote yourself, just represent yourself and make your own decisions without giving up your voting power. You actually need to become a DRep, even if you're not looking to attract delegation from others. That's super important to note. So you'll need to go through this process and put the 500 ADA and then vote for yourself in every decision and be informed. However, of course, I think if you're doing that, if you're knowledgeable about Cardano, you have time to evaluate the proposals, to do the necessary research to make sure you're making a good decision, then I think you should definitely consider becoming a more outgoing DRep, a more public DRep, maybe get that delegation, because at the end of the day, it's good for the Cardano community to have as many diverse DReps as possible with different opinions, different ideas, different backgrounds, different insights. so that whoever is delegating can easily find someone that represents them well, that represents their own unique perspective as in the closest way possible, I would say. That being said, of course, you might prefer to delegate your voting power to someone else, to another DRep, because this is on one side an easier option. You don't need to spend so much time researching and diving deeper into each governance action. But if you're doing that, please make sure you choose a DRep that you trust, that you believe has the right knowledge, but also the principles and beliefs that reflect a little bit of you and a little bit of what you believe in as well. As for governance, on this channel, we'll make the best effort possible to keep you informed about everything Cardano, including governance topics and discussion. So if you're interested on that, please don't forget to subscribe. But in fact, if you're delegating to a DRep, I think one of the best practices you can have is to actually stay on top of the work the DRep is doing, the decisions that he's making, and to make sure that you agree with these decisions, that they represent you well, represent your general beliefs, and follow your general interests, because it is important for you to detect if at some point your DRep is not serving you and your interests as you wanted, because at that point you should definitely find someone else to delegate your voting power, find someone else who better represents you. One important thing to note is that this hard fork brings also some changes for the user, and there is something you actually need to do. Right now with this hard fork, whether you care or not about governance, even though of course in my opinion you should, if you're staking ADA, you actually need to participate on governance if you want to be able to withdraw your staking reward. And you can do it either by choosing a DRep to delegate your stake, and this DRep will vote in your name and do the hard work. You can do it by being a DRep yourself and voting on the decisions yourself, or in the last case scenario, you will at least need to go there and to abstain yourself from all the votes. So you do need to take that action in order to be able to claim those rewards. Naturally, afterwards, you need to go to your wallet, like your Eternal wallet, and set your position, either delegate your stake, become a DRep, or abstain. Don't forget to do that if you want to withdraw rewards. However, as you might have noticed, we talk a lot about these new features of becoming a DRep, delegating, etc. But these are just part of the features you'll need for governance, okay? You also have all the other stuff related with creating proposals, requesting funds from the Treasury, with the DReps actually voting on governance actions, and those things right now are not available. You have info voting for the community to play with, but this is not official voting that withdraws Treasury funds, so that's very important to note. And currently, in the Chang Hardfork, in the bootstrapping phase, it's not possible to withdraw funds from the Treasury. That will come later, as we'll explain soon in this video. Another thing this Hardfork brought is that the Genesis keys are no longer working. What are the Genesis keys, you might be asking? Well, these are 7 keys that were distributed across the founding entities of Cardano, namely Emergo, Cardano Foundation, IOG, and with 5 out of the 7 keys, you would be able to withdraw treasuries from funds from the Treasury, from the Cardano Treasury. Right now, from this hard fork, that is no longer possible, and only after the next hard fork will be able to take out funds from the Cardano Treasury through governance. Of course, this raises a lot of questions. One question I think some people were raising in the community is about Project Catalyst. Does this mean that right now, until we have the next hard fork, there will be no more rounds for Project Catalyst? Because at the end of the day, all the funds to fund these new projects through Catalyst come from the Cardano Treasury. And for that, I would say don't be worried. The Cardano Catalyst team took some steps in advance and actually withdraw extra funds from the Treasury. For example, for round 12, they withdraw 50 million ADA, and they still have another 50 million ADA available that they withdraw at the same time, and this will probably be for the Fund 13 round. So I think for now, Catalyst should keep working as usual. However, after governance, we are the ones that are going to decide about the continuity of Project Catalyst. But what has been the impact of this art fork in the overall community? And one of the things I really liked about this art fork is that we can see a lot of people taking an interest in governance. We see on Twitter, for example, a lot of different individuals becoming DReps, promoting their new positions as DReps, trying to attract delegation right away. And of course, there seems to be more focus on governance, more discussion about governance topics, even more Twitter space on this subject, which I think is very positive, because as a community, we are taking on this responsibility and we are taking action, which is super nice. Speaking about what I like, I would love if you could leave me a like and help this video reach more people. However, in this art fork, not everything has been perfect. I feel there is a bit of a rush timeline for this art fork, and we've seen a lot of Cardano projects with the apps really hurting, going down, not working properly after this art fork, and with their teams really working hard, super hard to try to solve these issues and to get up and start running again, get back up as fast as possible. And in my opinion, this was one of the very negative points. I feel that the apps and builders should have a bit more time. And when I say more time, what I mean is it would have been good to have both the preview and the pre-prod testnets actually updated for at least 1 or 2 months beforehand, before the mainnet upgrade, so that projects could actually upgrade their current code, upgrade their tech stack and their DApps, and test them in a more secure environment, stress test them, and to feel then more confident about their updates and their upgrades on mainnet, something that was lacking. For example, the pre-prod network was just upgraded a few days before the mainnet, which I think was not a good move. However, positives and negatives, they are part of life. Not everything is perfect, and right now we should take a look at the future. What the future holds for Cardano, especially in terms of governance. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a second phase of Chang Hardfork, and this phase will introduce the remaining features that are currently missing in this stage, in this bootstrapping stage. Phase 2 will take place after the ratification of the constitution that was created by Intersect alongside the community and with the feedback of a lot of community members. Over the past year, there have been a lot of governance workshops, and these workshops, the notes and the information that came out of these workshops was used to create this draft constitution. In fact, right now we have a lot of the final constitutional governance workshops happening right now all over the world in more than 50 countries out there. There will be one in Lisbon on the 21st of September. I will be there. And if you're around, I'd love to see you there as well. You should definitely come, make your opinion heard, and help us build this constitution. And of course, it would be lovely to meet you. So I'll put the link in the description in case you're able to come. However, coming back to the ratification of the constitution, it's important to note that this will take place in December in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. There will be an entire event for this, where we'll have representatives from more than 50 countries from these workshops that were delegated by the community to be there and to represent them. These representatives will ratify the constitution, and we'll have the second phase of the Chang Hardfork going live with all the remaining governance features, with the constitution to govern our actions, but also with other exciting improvements, namely the implementation of Ouroboros Genesis and other improvements in terms of scaling. Also, during the Constitutional Convention, a new Constitutional Committee will be elected, and it will be the end of the term for the interim Constitutional Committee that is right now and that is helping us in this transition. After this Constitutional Convention, after we have a new committee, we have the draft constitution being the real constitution. And after the art fork is live, we are actually ready for governance with all the features working. Individuals, companies, enterprises will be able to start making proposals and withdrawing funds from the Treasury, while DReps will be able to start voting on governance decisions. Of course, ourselves as a community, we need to define how we want the governance to happen if we want to set, for example, a yearly budget and have that yearly budget as the value we can all spend as a community to grow Cardano, or if we prefer people to make proposals as needed for a diverse set of initiatives. There are a lot of things we can do, and the decision is now on our ends. You know, the future of Cardano is now truly on our ends, for better or for worse, and hopefully we make it for the better. But as you can see, there is definitely a lot going on Cardano. There is a strong move to decentralization, a lot of changes going on, with the Cardano blockchain actually becoming much more decentralized at the governance level, at the decision-making level, which is one of the hardest parts to decentralize. However, of course, stake pool operators will still play a crucial role in this new model. In fact, you know, besides producing blocks, they'll be responsible to decide whether we are going to have hard forks as well, because they still need to be okay with these hard forks and to upgrade their nodes to make them come to life. So because of that, and because stake pools are truly important to assure the decentralization of the blockchain in terms of block production, it's really important that we pick the best block producers, the more reliable block producers, the ones that are always paying attention, upgrading as the new changes come, which is the most positive, not only for the blockchain, but even for yourself, because you'll have reliable returns in terms of staking rewards, and you can compound those returns at a greater level. So if you want to learn more about that and how to pick the best stake pools for yourself, this video here is the one you should watch next.